This is Carrie Johnson with the Iowa Department of Management, and this is part one of an eight-part series to provide county auditors and staff that have responsibility to submit property valuations to the Department of Management, an overview of that system, as well as some general instructions and other information. This is part one of the series, and this particular portion is intended to provide a general introduction to the property valuation system, as well as a general overview of what the system looks like and the type of information and data county auditors and their staff would submit to Department of Management. In order to submit property valuations to Department of Management, county auditors or their staff need to use a application that we have available via our Department of Management website. You can find it by going to the county resources page within our website, and if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see online applications. The first one listed is a local government valuation and finance system. This is the online application that county auditors and staff use to submit property valuations, as well as complete annual financial reports, do a variety of other work, such as submitting budgets and certifying other local government budgets. It's sort of a one-stop portal for the work that most county auditors have to do with Department of Management. So you would click on the little box there to access the system. It does take you to a login page. Prior to logging in, you'd see that there are a variety of reports that are available: budget and valuation reports, annual financial reports, etc. These are available to anyone, to the public, anyone that hits the page without a login. In order to submit valuations, submit data, etc., you do need to log into the system here with an Enterprise ANA account ID. Again, this is an application that's housed on the Department of Management website that you can get to by going to our county resources page, but you can directly link to the online application if you choose to bookmark it. And this is the link to the application itself. A few reminders or just highlights for the submission of the 2025 assessment and valuations. It is, again, the same DOM website application as before. It's in the one portal that county auditors primarily use with Department of Management. The same type of data is uploaded using the same .dat file from your local software, as well as you have in prior years. The schools only flag for this year will need to be populated either with a yes or a no, depending on the applicable tax districts within your county. And the application does accept both 5 and 6 digit state tax district numbers, depending on how many numbers your county currently has available. County auditors have authority to access the system through the Department of Management website. An Enterprise ANA account ID is the method of access. And your access from prior years should just continue with your same account ID and login password. It is, the application that's used by a lot of different state agencies, and you can use one account and password for the different applications that agencies might have. If you have someone that's new on staff that needs to be able to access the system, just send me an email and I will provide the instruction on how to get them access to the system, whether that be for valuations or for AFRs or budget. So once you click on that login, you'll see the following blue box where you would enter your account ID and password. If you ever do have an issue with passwords, that's not I don't have access to those passwords, so you would need to contact the help desk. What you can do is click on this report issue to state service desk, and it provides you with their number to give them a call if you have any sort of access issues. As far as the type of data that is imported into Department of Management, it's essentially a overview of each and every tax district within your tax system. And for each and every tax district, you'd be submitting the data that's listed here essentially the tax district name and number, identifying types of information regarding that tax district, and then both the 100% and taxable value by class for that tax district. So, a significant amount of information about each and every tax district you have. Just to give you a brief overview of the screen, obviously, we're in the sort of top half of the left hand navigation. That's where the valuation information is contained. And things you'll see here are things like levy authorities, tax districts, information related to TIF, county totals, as well as filing and unfiling data, and some various tools and importing the data. And we'll talk about these in a little bit more detail. But again, this is the general left hand navigation that you would see regarding each and every opportunity that you have to interact with the system. Just a reminder that the system does time out after a certain amount of time logged in, so an hour. It does give you a warning before it will log you out. So if you see this yellow bar, be sure to click renew if you still want to work in the system, and that way you avoid being logged out, losing changes, etc. So the first item on the left-hand navigation is levy authorities. And of course, these are the entities within your county that have the ability to levy tax. They're to whom you will be providing valuation information through our system. So they know how much tax they can levy and what their tax rates would be. And so essentially, this is, all the cities in the county, all the school districts, the assessor, the ag extension, and a hospital, for example. And all levy authorities have a levy authority code that's listed, and as well as their name, and then a variety of different actions that could take place. But keep in mind, with levy authorities, only Department of Management can actually edit those. You can view the levy authority, which tells you their levy authority code, the type, et cetera, et cetera. And then if it were a tax year that was completed, you'd be able to see tax rates. Again, this is just a sort of an overview of that levy authority screen. The only action you can take is clicking on that eyeball, which would provide you with the information that we saw earlier. Or if you clicked on the dollar sign, you would see the values for that levy authority within your county. You would also see the tax districts that are associated with that levy authority in your county. It's important to remember what you're viewing is just the information for your county in this instance. So if you have a school district that is in multiple counties or a city in multiple counties, you won't see that portion of the value, for instance, for that levy authority. You would only see what's in your county. Tax districts, this is where a lot of your work does take place as far as working within the system. This is going to provide the tax district number here, which is the state tax district number, the name, the property type, which is one of those things that again you submit with your file. If it is a TIF district, yes or no, and then actions that you can take with that particular tax district. So you can edit the tax district. You can manage associations. Those manage the sort of connection or the association between a tax district and a levy authority, and you can delete tax districts. Those are all things that you can do. TIF areas, this is the next item down, moving down the left-hand navigation. This is a listing of all the TIF areas within your county by the area ID, which is a 5-digit number, the name, and then again, this is a situation where you can edit those TIF areas, change names, change associations, etc. And one of our future modules does talk more specifically about TIF areas, TIF taxing districts, etc., and those relationships. And this is where you would go to add a TIF area or consolidate if you had a couple that were consolidating. The next item on the left-hand navigation is TIF area revenue. You may need to come here annually to do some different work with the system, including entering a new net consolidated number for a new TIF area or new tax district associated with an existing TIF area. County totals, this is really an informational item, but this is where you can come once your valuations have been uploaded and see an overall picture of the total valuations in your county, 100% and taxable. You can see them by non-TIF totals. You can see them by just the TIF totals, just the increment totals, and the total. So it's just a good way to take a quick look at an overview of your county. And then once all counties are filed, you can also look at an all county option. You can also look at these figures for prior years when you're in the system. Because again, you can choose the valuation year. You can open that, you can print it, you can download it, etc. if you'd like to take a closer look at it. File and unfiled data, this is where you would come once your data is complete in your mind and you'd like to file it and make it available to the system, you would click that file button. And that makes it available to the system to be populated into levy authority budgets, and it also makes it available on, for a public view. Rollback worksheet is just an option where you can come and double check just what you've submitted based on a comparison to the your 100% value and applying the applicable assessment limitation. So it's just a way to do a double check to make sure that the rollback that you have applied or the assessment limitation that you have applied is makes sense. We would expect some variation, but typically those variations are due to just simple rounding errors. So when it's a large number, like what we see in this example, that's where you'd see some concern when it's in red there. Error check before you submit your data. It does need to be error free. So you'd want to be sure to check and make certain that you don't have any outstanding errors before you try to file. If you see a red item, that is, as we see indicated here, an error that needs to be fixed before you can file your data. If you see a yellow, that's simply a warning, and it's really to say, hey, you might want to take another look at this. Did you mean to have zeros here? Is essentially what this is about. And again, it's just sort of a double check, but it won't prevent you if you have a warning, it won't prevent you from filing your data. And then, of course, another item here is importing your DAT file. Once you have all your valuations determined within your local software and you have that file ready to go, and to be imported into the Department of Management system, this is where you'd come and import that DAT file. Again, as I mentioned, just available to you and as well to the members of the public. There's a variety of different reports. You see more reports when you're logged into the system for valuation than if you were a member of the public or you were just, not logged into the system. So that's just sort of a thing to keep in mind. There's a variety of different reports, 100% valuation reports, taxable valuation reports by county, et cetera, by class, different ways of kind of cutting up that data and looking at it. When you go to take a look at reports, a very important one, of course, is a taxable valuation by individual levy authority. It's going to ask you always to select the year, and keep in mind this would be the assessment year. So in this case, when we're looking at the values that you're going to be submitting, it would be assessment year 2025. That's, of course, for the fiscal 27 budgets. LA type is just your levy authority type. So, are you pulling up data for your county or for one of your cities or a school, etc.? And then the levy authority code is just the name of that actual levy authority. It will tell you when the report is being generated. Once it's successful, it will give you an option. It will tell you to go ahead and download. You click on that download button, and that will provide a download available to you, on your machine, either in a PDF form or a CSV file, depending on what you had selected. Of course, another option here is the help menu, which you would find a variety of different instructions, including the valuation instructions. Before you upload any of that data, though, to Department of Management, keep in mind a few things that you may need to clean up within the application itself, and also mirror in your local software before you go ahead and upload actual valuation figures. So you need to make sure if there are any levy authority changes, those have been taken care of. You need to make sure that your TIF debt reconciliation process has been completed, so you know the increment valuation that's needed to service any outstanding TIF debt for the TIF authorities within your county. And you also need to add or delete any taxing districts and make sure that the taxing districts that you are going to try to import from your system match the taxing districts that Department of Management is showing on our system. So you may need to add or delete on both sides to make sure that they're going to be in congruence with each other. And then you also need to create or delete any TIF areas before you upload that data. So, when we talk about levy authorities, this is a list of some of the different levy authorities within the property valuation system. And they each have their own, as I mentioned, a unique code. For example, and when we're talking about school districts, their code is all numbers. Counties have a 2-digit numerical code. Your ag extensions start with a county number and then a C in the third position. So there's a variety of different levy authorities that folks may or may not have in their county. For a more complete list, you can take a look at the instructions. And then, obviously, like I mentioned earlier, if you're not familiar with all the taxing entities within your county, you can log into the system and take a look through the levy authority listing within the application for your county. So, when we talk about levy authority changes, what are we referring to? So, these would be things like township changes. That's probably one of the most common year to year change that you see. So, this is situations where a township has decided that they want to split up their value into different pieces in order to service the needs of fire contracts within that township. So you may see a township that's sort of split into three different portions, and each of them have a uniquely assigned number, and it may have different rates associated with their fire protection levy. So that's a pretty common one. New levy authorities, pretty, not quite as frequently do we get any new levy authorities, but it is something that occurs occasionally. There may be, new lighting district or something like that occurs within a community. Name changes. This is oftentimes related to school districts, mergers, dissolutions of school districts. So those could occur. Deletions, again, school districts maybe that dissolve, or say very small city that dissolves. So there are occasionally some deletions that occur. We at Department of Management will make the actual changes to the levy authority, but when we make levy authority changes, that's typically going to also involve the county making changes at their level with the tax districts. It may be as simple as changing tax district names, or it may involve, making new tax districts, deleting old tax districts, and combining what have you. TIF debt certification, certification of TIF debt is due to the county auditor by December 1. So if you have any new debt or changes to debt related to TIF, per the TIF authorities within your county, they need to get that information to you by December 1 of each year via the TIF certification form. And then once you receive that information as the county auditor's office, you're going to want to complete the TIF reconciliation form and send that back out to those TIF authorities as soon as you can after December 1. And that's just, again, a communication tool between you and the TIF authorities. It's, saying, hey, this is what I show for your certification. In a given year, you may not have any new debt certified, but you still need to do that reconciliation form. So you and the TIF authority can be on the same page regarding any outstanding TIF debt and what has been paid towards that TIF debt over time. To find those forms, you can go to our county resource page here, and you can see the TIF reconciliation forms under the form option. And it is just an Excel spreadsheet. There's been few changes to that over the past number of years, so that's available to you. The property valuation system is open and has been open for a while. Your values are actually due to Department of Management and to all the levy authorities by January 1. And that would technically be January 2nd, since January 1st is a holiday. That concludes my brief overview, and I will be, as I mentioned, providing additional segments to kind of walk you through the rest of the process to submit values. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me at my number or contact me via email. Thank you.